Greetings, Iain from RTO here. Welcome to another damp and dismal day here in Northampton. So we've had to put the lights on again. I think this is going to happen for the next few weeks. Anyway, this is Wednesday, which means it's a marathon day. The day where we take on those big catalogues. And today's is not a request from anybody except me. This is one of my favourite bands from America, and it is Aerosmith. I've seen them a couple of times, which was pretty good. They were formed in Boston, a city that I have visited, in 1970, and the group is been mostly Steve and Tyler, Joe Perry, Tom Hamilton, Joey Kramer and Brad Whitford. They had a little bit of a wobble, little bit of a fallout, but they got back together and they're still making music. Not as good as it was in the day, but they're still out there doing everything, and they are the real bad boys of rock and roll, and they have been said that they're the greatest rock and roll band in America. And Steve and Tyler and Joe Perry are known as the Toxic Twins, and they admit that they've sniffed half a Cuba up their nose, so it's still good that they're still going. They've released 15 studio albums in their elusive career, so we'll have a look at the 15 studio albums of Aerosmith. So, coming in at number 15, we have the most current album, released in 2012, and it is Music from Another Dimension. The band's been the same. I'll only tell you who's who and what if there is a change. So on here we've got Love, Kiss Kiss Kiss, or Love 30, whatever you want to call it. All I'm going to say about that one, it's okay. Oh yeah, this is okay. This is the best track on the album, and it sounds like good old-fashioned Aerosmith. It's a really good track. Beautiful. I think this is a very weak track. They have lost their way a little bit. It's alright. Tell Me, very 70s commercial Aerosmith. Nothing spectacular, to be quite honest. Out Go the Lights. This is a good track. It's one of the better tracks on the album. It does sound pretty much like old style Aerosmith. And then we get Legendary Child, very commercial Aerosmith, but it has got a really great riff from Joe in that. I like that riff, but I don't really like the song. What Could Have Been Love? Here we go. This is the Aerosmith that I really cannot abide, and it's the slow commercial sloppy stuff, and no, I don't like that. Street Jesus, very solid track. That one's not too bad. Can't Stop Loving You, featuring Carrie Underwood, the winner of whatever American Talent list show she was in. Can't Stop Loving You is horrible. I just don't like it. Love Her a Lot, very good track. Don't mind that one. Then we get We All Fall Down. Just not into that. Freedom Fighter is a solid track. Closer. The only good thing about it is Joe Perry's solo. Something. What a Noise. Totally all over the place. No nonsense. Couldn't be bothered. And Another Last Goodbye is okay. This is a pretty non-memorable album for me. It's got one or two tracks on it. I very rarely play this one, I must admit. It's an album that I sort of, I put it on now and again. I put it on for this and I thought, still don't like it. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 4.5. Okay, coming in at number 14, we have the 12th album. Now, this was released in 1997, and it is called 9 Lives. First track is the title track, and it's called 9 Lives. It's not too bad. Nice little rocker. I don't mind that one. Falling in Love is hard on the knees. It's more of that commercial sounding, ballady Aerosmith, which I'm not at all keen on. Hole in My Soul, again another ballad. I'm just not keen on their modern ballads. Taste of India doesn't work. I don't like that one at all. Full Circle, another awful ballad that I don't care for. Something's Gotta Give. Now I like this. This is a good old rocky track. I like that track quite a lot. Ain't to That a Bitch. Here we go. Another ballad. The Farm. It's just a solid rock track. Crash. I don't mind this. It's got some really good work from Joe Perry on that. Kiss Your Past Goodbye. The only good thing about that is the guitar solo. And then we get my favourite track on the album, Pink. I love this. It's got some harmonica. Definitely one of the better tracks on here. Attitude Adjustment. It's alright. Fallen Angels. Far too long. 8 minutes of commercial ballad. There's a lot of ballads on this and not enough rockers. The rockers are good, but the ballads are so plastic and get your phone out with your lamp and wave it around sort of stuff, and that's not all what I want to listen to on an Aerosmith album. One track, yes, the rest I want good honest rockers. So I'm going to give that album an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 13 we have the 13th album that was released in 2001, Just Push Play. First track on this one is Beyond Beautiful. I like this one. It sounds more like Aerosmith, and the Aerosmith I like. It's pretty good. Just Push Play. It's okay. It's got a weird percussion in it. I don't know what they were trying, but yeah, it's a bit different. Jaded, more of this generic pop rock stuff. Not very good. Fly Away From Here. Here we go again. Wishy-washy ballads. This is for the part-time Aerosmith fans. You know, when they say their favourite song is that one from that blooming film, Armageddon, that's when you know that they're not real Aerosmith fans. It's just a wishy-washy ballad, not for me. Trip Hopping isn't too bad. It's got a nice little riff to it. I can go with that one. Sunshine again. It's not a bad track. One of the better ones. Under My Skin. As I say, I can take or leave this one. It's there on the album. Love Lies. Actually like this. It's got a really good guitar solo from Joe. Not a bad track. Out to Your Head. I just don't like this track. It's horrible. Bad production. Drop. Dead Gorgeous. Another track that shouldn't even ever been put on this album. It is very weak. Light Inside. It's not too bad. It's got a bit of a groove. And Avant Garden. It's okay. It's nothing special though. Here we go again. An album that's got a few good tracks and a lot of old tosh on it. It's not a very good album at all. This is the period that I'm not a great lover of. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay then, coming in at number 12, we've got the 11th album, released in 1993, and it is Get a Grip. First track on this one is a little intro for 24 seconds, drumming and that, and then it goes into Eat the Rich. This starts with a belch. I don't mind this track. I love Joey Kramer's drumming on that. Then we get a Grip. I don't mind this track at all. It's got some great guitar work from Brad and Joe. Excellent track. Fever, good little rocker this is, like this one. proper sort of Aerosmith later on. Aerosmith as I call it. Then we get Living on the Edge. My favourite track on this album. I think it's probably one of the last real great tracks that Aerosmith did. I love the lyrics, I love the delivery, I just love it, the song. Flesh, it's okay, it's a good rocker. Walk On Down, I'm not very keen on this one. Let me get Shut Up and Dance, another good track. This was obviously featured in Wayne's World 2, and it's a very good track. Crying, great bluesy rocker. I like that. I like their bluesy rockers. That's really good. Gotta Love It. Yeah, I think this is where it all started going wrong. Wishy-washy ballad. Crazy. Don't like this track. Never have. Never will. Line Up. It's okay, but it's not memorable. And Amazing. Another song that I just can't stand. There's not many tracks I only have to hear it a few seconds. When I just listened to this to do this ranking, I just didn't play it. And Boogeyman, which is an instrumental, it's one of my favourite tracks on this album. It's a great little boogie, bluesy number from Brad and Joe on the guitars. Yeah, a bit of a mixed bag on this one. This is where the horrible commercial ballad started to creep in. But I have some really good tracks on this one, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, then coming in at number 11, we got the 14th album, released in 2004, and it's called Honkin on Bobo. Now, this is an album full of great old blues covers and one new track. So the first track on here is a Bo Diddley number called A Roadrunner. I love this track, and I think Aerosmith do a cracking version of it. I love the guitar work on that, it's great. Second up is a Smiley Lewis cover, and it's Shame, Shame, Shame. Really good song, and again, killer version by Aerosmith. Third track, Eyesight to the Blind, which is a Sonny Boy Williamson, the second cover. Love this song anyway, and it's a great version of this song. Then we get a Them cover, the one that everyone does, Baby Please Don't Go. One of the tracks that, as I said, everyone seems to do a cover of. It's not a bad version, but I prefer AC/DC's. Then we have an Aretha Franklin cover, and it's Never Loved a Girl. It's a great song. And I think Steve does a great vocal on it. He really gives it justice. Really good. Now, the first of 3 tracks on this album by Mississippi Fred McDowell. This one is Back, Back Train. Great blues song. And again, they have done a great version of it. Then we get one of the original track here, and it's called The Grind, or The Grind, sorry. Great original blues song. Fits very well on the album. Solid stuff. You've also got You Gotta Move. My favourite track on this album. I love the harmonica on that. That comes after Back Back Train. I missed it out. Then we got a Muddy Waters track called I'm Ready. Written by Willie Dixon, of course. I love this song. It's a great version. I love Muddy Waters. Temperature, which is a Little Walter cover. Love this. It's a great track. Then we go for a Fleetwood Mac song, Stop Messing Around, which is one of my favourite bluesy Fleetwood Mac songs. And I think Aerosmith absolutely nail it. Very good version. And the last track is another Mississippi Fred. Jesus Is on the Main Line. It's all right. I prefer the original. Well, one of the original recordings. Pretty cool. Okay then. It does tell you something when a cover version is at number 11 or 15. I love this album. I love the blues, as you know, and I think it's an album that I love playing. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Oh dear, it's a bit bunged up as well. This is not good. Yeah, so that'll clear the pipes a bit. Okay then, coming in at number 10, we go to the 7th album, released in 1982. And it's the only Aerosmith album that didn't feature Joe Perry or Brad Whitford, and it is Rock in a Hard Place. So joining the rest of the band on this album, we have Jimmy Crespo on lead and rhythm guitars, and additional vocals on Bitches Brew. We've got Rick Dufay on rhythm guitar, but he's a band member but doesn't play on the album. That's he's credited on the cover. Brad Whitford does do a bit of guitar playing on the Lightning Strikes. We've got Paul Harris on piano, John Turry on saxophone, Reinhard Straub violin. We've got John Lovano on acoustic, and Jack Douglas. No, not that Jack Douglas from Carry On. He does percussion. So the first track on this one is called Jailbait. Love Tom's bass line on that, really groovy, great track. Then we get Lightning Strikes. I love this track. I mean, the video to this, they look as high as cut on some sort of substance, but it's a good track, and it's the one that Brad plays on, so it's pretty good. Bitches Brew sounds alright, nice guitar work on that. Bolivian Ragamuffin, another great track. Joey's drumming is pretty good on that, solid. Crimea River, it's a bit whiny version of that. Prelude to Joni, a little intro for the next track, really, because that's Joni's Butterfly. This is one of the weakest tracks on the album and not a particular favourite of mine. Rock in a Hard Place, I love this. Is proper boogie Aerosmith. Jiggy's Up, one of my favourite tracks on this album. Really good rocker. And the last track, Push Comes to Shove, it's an okay track. It's not a bad album. There's some towards the back of the album. There's some really good rockers, but it hasn't got Joe Perry on, and that's what it lacks. And although Brad played on Lightning Strikes, them two they've got definitive sounds, and it didn't sound the same without Joe. But it's still a reasonably good album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.2. Okay, then coming in at number 9, we got the 8th album, and it was the return of the classic lineup, and it's 1985, and it is done with mirrors. First track on here is Let the Music Do the Talking. I love Tom's bass line on this. Some great guitar work from Brad and Joe back in the fold. Excellent track. My Fist Your Face, solid track. Love the solo from Joe on this. Absolutely killer. Shame on You, not my favourite track on the album. It's alright. The Reason a Dog, good track. I like the riffs in this, solid. Sheila, yet another solid track. Some great guitar work from Joe on that. Gypsy Boops is a little bit mediocre for me. Not memorable. She's on Fire, love this, love the slide guitar on this, great track. And the last track, The Hop, good boogie blues, and I think that's a really strong track. Solid album, a lot of good tracks on here. First album of the classic lineup back together, and it's a pretty decent outing for them. And I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay then, coming in at number 8. We go to 1989 now, and the 10th album, Pump. This is the tour I saw them on. Saw them at Donington, and then I think I saw them at the NEC. First track on here, Young Lust. Great opener, love the riffs on this. Great solid track. Then we have Fine. Another good track. I love that opening riff and the bass line on it. Terrific track. Then we get my favourite track, OK. It was a big hit, but it's a great track, and it's Love in an Elevator. Love this track. I love that riff, especially in the middle bit. Great little video as well. Monkey on My Back. Love the start of this. The slide guitar is really good. Then we got Janie's Got a Gun. Classic. Brilliant track. Then we get the Dulcimer Stomp on the other side. A little acoustic thing, and then it goes into a great track. One of Joe's best solos on this album. My Girl, solid. Great riffs in this. Steve's on fire on the vocals. Don't Get Mad, Get Even. It's got didgeridoo in it. It's my second favourite track on that. Brilliant. Then we get Voodoo Medicine Man. It's okay. Not one of my favourites. What It Takes. Don't like it. Never have. Okay, apart from the last two albums, which are not my favourite, everyone on here is absolutely brilliant. They were great live. They're a great live act, and I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we've got the 9th album, released in 1987, Permanent Vacation, an album that when it came out I played to death. It's probably one of my favourite albums of 1987. First track on here is Heart's Done Time. What a start. That bass line is great. Great vocal from Steve. Great riffs. Really good. Magic Touch. Again, some great riffs. I love the catchiness of that track. Really good. Ragdoll. One of the catchy commercial songs, but I really like it. Great vocal from Steve and Tyler. On form as ever. Then we get Samurai. One of the deep cut tracks on this album. It's really good upbeat rocker. Nothing wrong with this. Then we do get my favourite track, and again it was a big hit for them. Dude Looks Like a Lady. Favourite track on the album. Famously used in Mrs. Doubtfire when Robin Williams was doing the housework and he was rocking with the broom. Great track. Then we get St. John. That bass line from Tom, the drumming from Joey is great on that. Great track. Then we get Hangman Jury. Solid. Great harmonies on this. Really strong track. Girl Keeps Coming Apart. Love the harmonica and the rock in that. Angel. No, you can keep that. More MTV trollish rubbish. The title track, Permanent Vacation. I love that opening riff and the harmonica, and then towards the end you get that bit of samba Caribbean, really good. And then we get a Beatles song, and it's a great cover of I'm Down. It rocks. It's actually a little bit better than the Beatles version. Fantastic. And then the album ends with an instrumental called The Movie, and it's one of my favourite instrumentals by Aerosmith. I just love the guitar work on that. Absolutely solid. I brought this album on cassette because I wanted to play it on my Walkman, and I wore the damn thing out, so I had to go and buy it on CD because the tape literally wore thin and started to warble. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.2 because it's just a great album. Now, top 6 albums was tough because this is, to me, is the definitive of Aerosmith. Very hard to put these 6 albums in the right order. It took me a long time to do this one. I've been working on this for months. But here we go. So coming in at number 6, we go to 1973, to the debut album, Aerosmith. First track on there is Make It. Solid opener. Tyler's vocals are great. Nice clean riffs on this. It's a solid song. Then we get Somebody. Opening riffs are great. Solid track. and I think the next track is probably one of my favourite songs by Aerosmith. It's Dream On, classic. Great guitar work and vocals by Steve. Brilliant on this. Great track. One Way Street, really good racker. Try a rocker. Basic, but you could see where the band were going. Really good. Mama Kin, a classic from the band. Still play it to this day. It's a staple part of the live set. Great track. Write Me a Letter. Great drums by Mr. Kramer. Solid track. Moving Out. Bluesy guitar. Impressive. Being so basic but prominent. Then we get another classic track for me. Walk in the Dark. Great rocker. That rhythm line from Brad is terrific. Great way to end the album. This is a very strong debut album, and it has got probably one of the best songs ever written by Aerosmith on here. Very good album, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay, then coming at number 5. It was the second album now, released in 1974, and it is of course Get Your Wings. This opens up with a classic, Same Old Song and Dance. Love that riff at the beginning. Really a shuffled drum. Great track. Love that track. Then we get Lord of Thighs. Solid track, some great guitar work here. And you can tell already Stephen's voice is starting to change. And it would change again. But it's a great track. Then we get Spaced. Great track. Solid rocker. And then we get Woman of the World. Love this track. It's got a great solo from Joe Perry. Then we get SOS. A typical 70s rock track. Nice bass on that. Train Kept Rolling. Classic song. From Tiny Bradshaw, 1951. One of my favourite versions of this song. Seasons of Weather. It's okay. Not a particular favourite of mine. Then we get Pandora's Box, another classic. The riffs are great. Great drumming from Joey. Solid album. Apart from Seasons of Weather, I love this album. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.4. Okay, then coming in at number 4 is the 6th album released in 1979, Nights in Ruts, and this is the one that Joe Perry left halfway through the album's recording. So it's Steven Tyler on vocals and harmonica. Joe Perry plays lead guitar on No Surprise, Chiquita Cheesecake, 3 Mile Smile and Reefer Head. And Bone to Bone. Brad Whitford's on the rhythm as usual. Todd Hamilton on the bass. Joey Kramer drums. Additional musicians here. We've got Mary Weiss or Weiss on backing vocals. Richie Super, additional guitars. And Jimmy Crespo does some guitar work as well. No surprise that opening guitars from Brad and Joe. Brilliant. Great stuff. Chiquita, love this track. Them driving riffs. Joey Kramer's drumming is brilliant. The horns are in this as well. That sounds pretty good. Remember Walking in the Sand, which is a Shangri-La cover. I think they do a really good version of this, and I think it's on level par with the original. Cheesecake, my favourite track on this album. Probably one of my favourite tracks by this band. It's just absolutely amazing. That bluesy guitar on this is brilliant. From Joe Perry. Brilliant. 3 Mile Smile. Great bass line from Tom. Excellent stuff. Then we get Reefer Head Woman, a Jazz Gillum cover. Another cover with a great riff. Great stuff. Then we get Bone to Bone, and in back it's the Coney Island Whitefish Boy. Another great opening with a great Joe solo here from Joe Perry. We got another cover on here, Think About It, which is by the Yardbirds. Very good version. There's no much difference between this and the Yardbirds, to be quite honest. Even with the cover tracks on this album, it's an absolute belter from top to bottom. There's some great music on here. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Now the top three was even tougher. They're all great. So coming in at number 3, we go to 1975 now, and the Toys in the Attic album opens up, of course, with Toys in the Attic. I love this classic track, that frantic guitar start, great vocal from Steve. Then we get Uncle Salty. I love the arrangement of this. I love how this changes tempo, and that hooky guitar riff at the beginning is brilliant. Adam's Apple, great track. Love the riffs in this, solid. Then we get Walk This Way. I love this version, but the Run DMC version, no. I just love this because it's a bit funky. It's a great little track. Classic as well. Then we get Big 10-inch record. Now this is a Fred Weissmental track, made most famous by Boo Moose Jackson in 1952, but this is the best version of it. And then we get my favourite song ever by Aerosmith, and it's the brilliant Sweet Emotion. You've got the vocoder on here, you've got that bass line from Tom, and some great riffs on this. It's a brilliant track. I just love this. Great rock track. No More, No More, solid rock track again, brilliant. Round and Round, this has got some great riffs. It's a great rocker. You See Me Crying. This is when Aerosmith made a good ballad. There's nothing cheesy about it. It's nice words, great solo. Yeah, proper Aerosmith ballad like that. Again, solid album from top to bottom. Not a bad track on this. Was in the contention for the top spot, but like these top three, they're all brilliant albums. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.6. Okay, then coming in at number 2, we've got the 4th album now, released in 1976. And again, this is missed out on the top by that much. And it's Rocks. Opens up with a classic Back in the Saddle. Great rock track. I love how this builds up from the start. It is just a brilliant track. Lost Child, one of the classic slow tracks by Aerosmith. The vocal on this is brilliant, and you got that lovely bass line and drumming from Tom and Joey. Rats in the Cellar, great track, one of Joe's finest guitar solos. It is excellent. Combination, great riffs again. Brad and Joe are having a really good time on this one, and you got some nice harmonies on this. Sick as a Dog, love that double guitar riff in this. Both playing solos together, it's really good. Nobody's Fault, the riffs in this really drive the song along. It's like a rolling riff, which makes it fantastic. Get the Lead Out. This is what I like about this era of Aerosmith. Great riffs and drumming. Great vocal from Steven Tyler. It's a fine example of what Aerosmith are really about. Lick and I Promise starts off with some great drumming from Joey. In comes the bass from Tom. Throw a few riffs in from Brad and Joe. It's a pretty good. Home Tonight. Again, this is when I used to like ballads by Aerosmith. Great guitar solo from Joe. Love this album, played a lot. Not a bad track on it again. Some great riffs and solos on this. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.8. So, my favourite album, and just by a whisper, this top three, any of them could have been at number one. So it's the fifth album from 1977, and it is Draw the Line. Opens up with Draw the Line. I love this song, that bass line and that recurring riff that comes through all the track, brilliant. I Want to Know Why, another Tom bass line that drives the song along. Some great guitar work from Joe on this. Critical Mass, I think, this is why I love this album. It's got so much great Tom Hamilton bass playing, brilliant track. Get It Up, slide guitar is absolutely brilliant. Joey Kramer's drumming, this is such an addictive track. When you play this and you have to flick and we'll play it again, it's that good. Then we get Bright Light Fright, one of them sort of guitar frenzy tracks. It's 2 minutes and 19 of forensic rock. It's great. Ferocious drumming from Joey. Then we get my favourite track on here, another of my favourite tracks, Kings and Queens. There's just something about this, the riffs and the vocal from Steve Tyler, brilliant. The Hand That Feeds, Tom's bass line again, drives this song along. We've got Steve Tyler's voice on this. This is when he was high-pitched and gravelly. Best track for Steve's vocals on this. Sight for Your Sore Eyes, a little chunky guitar work on this, and another absolutely superb bass line. Then we get Milk Cow Blues. Now this is a blues song written and recorded by Kimono Arnold back in 1934, and it's a very basic track then. It's just a guitar, but I think what Aerosmith have done to this has really brought it to life, and this is a great version of it. I love this. Great way to end the album. I love this album from start to finish. Every track is good, and it's got some of Tom Hamilton's best bass playing that he has done with this band. I always like playing this one from the first time I brought it, which would have been probably... First album I got was Toys in the Attic, and then I got this one. And that would have been... let's have a think. Must have been about 82, 83. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. So there we go. It's sometimes nice to do one of my favourite bands. I think there's not many left now that of mine. I think everything else in from here will be yours. So that's all for today. Tomorrow we have got a really interesting battle of the debuts for you. It's Kiss against a band that Gene Simmons discovered and got them signed to Casablanca, and it's the brilliant Angel. And also tomorrow is the first of four new shows, which comes under the banner of Pick and Mix. Remember when we said we was going to change it and people gave us ideas, and the ideas that came up were so good, so Dave and I decided that we'd rotate it. So tomorrow we're starting off with a thing called A Trip Down Memory Lane. Now, A Trip Down Memory Lane is looking at the top 10 in the UK of that week. So on that Thursday we do the top 10. It's the top 10 from that Thursday. So tomorrow we're starting off with the 1st of December 1975. Don't forget, tomorrow is also live stream day. So have a great day, everyone, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.